So you have a full-time job and you want to know how to invest. In this video, I'm going to do a quick roundup on how to do it and why it's simple and the steps you need to go through on how to achieve investing when you have a full-time job as a busy person. So look, this is according to my own experience. I do spend my time following markets every week, and I do share that in my free newsletter. So check that out. The link to that will be in the description. Number one, work out your numbers. So think about your income minus your expenses. So that is your rent, mortgage, bills, food. You can work out for some stuff a range. So like subscriptions could be a range, food could be a range because you know these might fluctuate. Transport, social. Work out and write down your expenses. You know, I don't think you need to go into so much detail, but you know, you want to kind of roughly maybe what a good and a better way of doing it is just maybe go over the past 6 months or the past year. What did you spend each month? And then work out a average of that. That's probably better than doing a, you know, this is what it fixed. These are the fixed costs. So I would go back 6 to 12 months and look at, you know, what you've been spending and take a rough average of that. And, you know, be honest. And I think doing that way is the honest way of doing it. So, because that's what you're actually spending on, you know, on different things. And yeah, look, even a small amount will compound significantly over time. So even if you only have $100 left, you know, after every month, and ask yourself, okay, cool, what can I do with this $100? Investing could be the best option, but knowing your numbers, you know, removes the guesswork. If you don't know how much you can invest, you will either invest too much and you'll feel stressed about it, or it'll be too little and make no meaningful progress to you. So the numbers and working out your own numbers give you a starting point. So I think working out on a monthly basis or do like a yearly range, they can give you a really good idea of what your numbers are. Pick a style that suits your life. So look, investing can be many different things. It could be financial markets, it could be property, it could be a business. You know, you could start something on the side. If you have a skill and you have an extra $20 a month, you can maybe invest in a AI subscription to help you leverage that skill, and you can do other things. It doesn't just have to be through traditional investing. For most people, though, high time investing works because it fits around your full-time job. If you're somebody who's a busy individual and you know you want to take part in these big upwards, you know, trends on weekly and monthly charts, you know, investing can be best. You know, invest in, you know, big trends that don't happen every day. You know, checking in once a week on the high time frame is enough. That could be something. It can be passive, it can be active. Buying index funds and holding is still a style. As I mentioned earlier, you could have a skill. You could say, I'm really good at painting. I can make content about painting. I'm going to buy this subscription to help me make content about painting. Whatever it could be. That's still an investment, right? So building a process that really fits around your life is what you want to do. So kind of related to financial markets, because that it will be the best for most people. You know, buying an index funds or holding it is a style. So building a process around that is what you want to do. My process is price action, so I have a style around that. But there's nothing, you know, wrong. There's so many ways to skin a cat when it comes to investing. You just need to find something that fits around your life. Maybe look at your monthly schedule, your weekly schedule, and what could suit around that. You know, and your risk tolerance is also part of the style. How much you're willing to lose will affect your decisions and your sleep. You know, you don't want to be staying up at night because you're in a position on a particular asset, right? So pick something that fits around your lifestyle, and that can be done in so many different ways. For most people, high time frame investing, if you do want to be more active, is the way forward. I do it through technical analysis, so that's my way, but that could be not relevant for you. So don't do that. Pick something which works for you and stick to it. And exactly, there we go. Stick with it for the long term. That's, you know, the most important thing. Find your expenses, find what fits around your life, and stick with it for the long term. Every style goes through, you know, periods of underperformance, right? So if you're sticking something for the long term, but for 3 months it's not working, you've just got to stick it out. And that could be the same with the painting, you know, example I gave. If you're painting and you're not getting any views on YouTube, for example, like me, then you know you want to just stick with it, because eventually, you know, you'll build up an audience that you'll be able to talk about painting and do something with it, with that investment. It's the same with investing. You know, there could be no new highs in the S&P and your dollar cost average of the S&P. You just got to stick with it. If you believe it's going to go up and to the right in the long term, you've got to stick with it. The one who sticks with, you know, a style long enough and deeply understands it creates real edge and understands the real edge. And compounding happens in the later years, not the early ones. So compounding of skills, compounding of investments takes 10, 15 and 20 years. The early years feel slow, but trust me, over the long run, it will still to really compound. And switching styles resets the clock. Every time you abandon an approach and start a new one, you lose that learning, that accumulation of the skill, right? So you want to be, find your thing and stick with it over and over and over again. You want to find this, the finding thing, you can maybe spend a bit of time on, but you don't spend too much time on. Find something which works for other people, which other people have results, which maybe, these people online, they have good results, they're legit and all that stuff. Okay, cool, I'm going to go with that style. You want to be able to explain what you're doing to a 5-year-old. You want it to be simple. You don't want to say, I am, this super ultra fancy investor who does all these things. Pick a style that's simple and, you can explain to a 5-year-old and you just want to stick with it. If you cannot articulate your reason in, a clear sentence, you don't have a thesis, you need to be picking something which is simple. Because simple, you can stick with for the long term. You can keep doing over and over and over again. Because that repetition is what builds the consistency. So, yeah, that's it. That's all you need to do. It's so simple. Just a very quick video. Work out your numbers, pick a style, and stick with it for the long term. That's it. And your style can be so many different ways. That's why I think you've got to audit your life and think, okay, cool. I have a full-time job. I have kids. I do this. I do that. Maybe investing on a weekly basis could work on an active basis, or I could combine active investing and index funds, whatever it may be. Stick with something for the long term and it'll work out. If you want to get an understanding of what I do when it comes to investing, I have a free newsletter. Please do check that out. Links that will be in the description. I'll see you in the next one.